intrigued by the Middle East? Have you ever wanted to go out there and travel around? Well, travel writer Beth Graham says that Qatar is filled with culture, luxury, and adventure, and that it's a country you won't want to miss. We're happy to have Beth join us on today's Big Blend radio show to tell us about her adventures in Qatar, as well as her other travels and travel writing career. And along with writing for a number of publications, she serves on the board of the International Food, Wine, and Travel Writers Association, and she's the executive editor of their magazine, FWT, which is Food, Wine, Travel Magazine. Check that out. It's beautiful. It's FWTmagazine.com. And also keep up with Beth at BethGraham.com. She's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those great places, often as Mom Uncorked blog. And also, you can read her story about Qatar on BlendRadioAndTV.com. It'll also be featured in the spring issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. So welcome aboard, Beth. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to talk to you guys today.
Hey, you too. You too. So they got you roped in as the executive editor for FWT magazine. It's beautiful. Are you having fun putting it together?
I am. It's, my life is filled with wanderlust, so I kind of get to live through all these other people who travel as well by reading and telling their stories.
That's how we feel about, all the different travel writers from IFTWA. That's everybody, the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. We say IFTWA coming on our shows. We're like, wow, you went there, you went here. Jordan, Qatar, that's a place that you went to. And did you ever think you would land in Qatar one day?
I did not. In fact, I almost didn't go. It was one of those trips that I've kind of wrestled with, should I go or should I not go? And I reached out to a few friends who had traveled quite a bit and found one of them who actually lived in Qatar, and he said, you have to go. It's amazing. And I did, and it was amazing.
Were you nervous about the destination? I mean, I know we get lots of questions about, the fact that we spend so much time in parts of Africa, and people were just like, are you sure it's safe enough? Are you going to get sick from the food? And, those kind of questions. Were you nervous about it?
I really wasn't. I had been to my first trip to the Middle East was about 6 months before this when I went to Jordan. And I was definitely nervous about that trip because it was my first trip to the Middle East. And I kind of rely on my husband to tell me, what's going on in world news and is a destination safe or not. And he was like, sure, go. And so this being my second trip to the Middle East, I really wasn't nervous. I was really excited more than anything just based on what I had heard about the region.
I would be excited.
Me too.
There's something, number one, Jordan, I remember, Linda Kassam, the president of IFTWA going, and we loved seeing her riding a camel. We thought that was the coolest thing to see, because, we call her the diva, and so the diva on the camel, that was cool, and seeing all the riders get out there. And it just, to me, these are just such unique experiences, and from what I've heard, the food is amazing. And in your article, just even getting there sounded like a good flight, a luxurious one.
Yeah, it was certainly an experience. I used to jokingly put things on Facebook that one day I hope to have enough money to fly on the planes that offer you the blue martinis. You've seen those commercials.
Yeah.
And so this was one flight I actually did get to. Oddly enough, people may not know it, but Qatar Airways and several of the airlines have a program where you can bid on a first-class seat. Oh. And so I actually put in the lowest bid they would accept, which I think was something like $389. And I got upgraded for $389. And It was great because it was, the luxury lay flat seats and filet mignon and, an amazing wine list and pajamas and the whole 9 yards. So, and they are the top-ranked airline, and I see why. It's going to be a shame the next time I have to take a long trip like that because I'm probably not going to be able to do it. So it's like that.
Where's my martini and jammy?
I know. I want my filet.
Exactly. And strangely enough, they upgraded me for free coming back. So I completely lucked out, and now I'm forever a fan of that airline.
Mm.
Oh man, this is awesome. This is awesome. And then getting there, okay, so this is something to talk about. What did you pack clothing wise? Because there is, a different kind of formality, right, that we need to be aware of and not be offensive. We don't want to be the ugly American tourist. So
Exactly.
what did you pack?
Because of my experience and what I do, I tend to over research things before I travel anywhere. And
Mhm.
that was certainly one of the things I did on both of my trips to the Middle East. You have to take into account, first of all, the weather, because you're in the desert and in most cases it's going to be really hot. But also there is a certain level of modesty. You have to respect their traditions and their culture. And so I had read things like your arms should be covered to the elbow. You shouldn't wear shorts. Your legs should be covered at least to the knee. So what I did is I went and just bought some comfortable kind of lounge pants that would be comfortable for touring around all day. Always pack lots of scarves because they're easy to put around your shoulders. And so I tried to be kind of modest in how I dressed, and even in the colors I took.
Yeah, just to be modest.
Mm.
I actually think that's the better way to travel anyway, because you kind of want to blend in, and you're there to connect with, the people in the country that you're visiting, in the region you're visiting. It's not all about you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially as a travel writer, it's kind of it's our job to kind of take a back seat and be observant a little bit. Yes, get involved and connect, but we're not there to be the stars of the show. I think some places absolutely you're there to be pampered and all of that, but
Mm-hmm.
there is, you know what I mean, there's that balance, especially if you're there to write and
maybe a level of respect.
yeah, definitely.
Exactly, that's what it is. And even things, I knew we were going to be at a resort and at a beach, and so I reached out to some friends and I said, I'm going to, what type of bathing suit or cover up should I take? And that's certainly, one of those awkward moments where you don't want to be the only one that shows up when you're wearing a string bikini, which I would never wear anyway. But I did take appropriate cover up. So.
Yep.
But it does require some research and planning, because you're going to be in a region that has, the climate can vary from morning to night, from region to region, from city to city, and then you want to take clothes that are comfortable but also respectful.
One thing I thought that it's really interesting about Qatar and just the Middle East in general is it's just such a historic, such ancient history there. And yet, at the same time, reading your article and just kind of watching what's going on over there, it seems that they're also at the cutting edge of architect. Like everything's brand new and luxurious. So there's this interesting balance between the past and the present.
There really is. And that's one thing about Qatar is they do a beautiful job, or Doha at least, which is the main city, of blending the two, of marrying culture and luxury, because they don't lose their sense of culture, yet the hotels, the restaurants, the shopping, everything is so over the top luxury. And I think they're having to do that to compete with other destinations in the region that kind of set that bar pretty high. So the hotels, I've said, if there were a 6-star rating, these would be 6-star hotels. And the people that are coming there can afford it. There's lots of meetings that are held there, international forums and such. So they do a great job of really, building themselves out. But then, right next door to a luxury hotel, you have a beautiful museum where they display artifacts from the past, from thousands of years of their history.
And what about the museum, say in Doha, the Museum of Islamic Art, where the building is designed to resemble a Muslim woman behind a burqa, right? This is amazing.
It's fascinating. It was so fascinating, and we had the most amazing guide. And that's another thing I would recommend to anybody who's planning to travel to the Middle East is to spend the extra money and hire a guide, because otherwise there's so much you'll miss. And something like that building is something I would have missed had we not had a guide who on the way said, look across the water and you see this building, and it's triangular almost, and in the top are two triangular niches that are cut out that are black that look like a woman behind a burqa. It's amazing. It's a beautiful, beautiful structure.
This is incredible to me. I mean, you're so lucky. Just a little jealous here. but then here you go. Then all of a sudden you're in the Central Market. Tell us about that, because
that looks interesting.
That to me is always, I don't know what it is. I always want to go to the markets and see what's local, because then you're finding out like the spices, the foods. Do you have that one photo of a gentleman with these big, like, huge things of spices? I think one looked like cardamom seeds. I'm not sure. But tell us about this market.
Well, the market was fascinating. First of all, it's where all the locals do their shopping throughout the day, and it's just rows and rows of small alleyways that are lined with shops, and they're divided up by category. There's an alleyway that's mostly fabrics, and you'll see women in there picking out fabrics for their saris, the beautiful jeweled colors, beaded. And then there's a separate area where there's housewares. And what I found fascinating is there's an entire area for pets. They have birds and rabbits and cats are the pets there. And just so many pet parakeets. And people go there and they buy their pets. And you see lots of people shopping. And they have men there called homilies. And they carry wheelbarrows, and for $10, US dollars, they will take all of your goods out to your vehicle that you've purchased. They'll follow you around with a wheelbarrow. You can load all your goods into the wheelbarrow, and they'll take it to your car and put it in your car. So when you pull up to the market,
will they let you sit in the wheelbarrow?
I know.
I didn't ask.
That's a dangerous thing. I have some friends that the way they shop, that's dangerous. Their husbands would be very concerned because it kind of exactly would be like it's like a caravan of barrows, that would be happening. So I know that's the thing. I mean, are you limited to? I mean, if you want to buy a whole bunch there, do you ship it up back home? That kind of thing. Do you think?
I think you would probably have to.
Yeah, that'd be.
And it would cost you quite a bit, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. Now let's talk. I mean, so Doha is like it's in Qatar, but Qatar, you were saying the country is what, over 2.4 million people. So that's double the size of Tucson, where we are, Tucson, Arizona. That's big, but not big. It's not
right, and there's a big military base, U.S. military base there, and it's we did leave Doha one day, and we drove out to the desert, which was about 90 minutes, and you actually go through some of the residential communities. So much of the region is natural gas, so they've built entire communities just for the refineries, where people live and walk to the refinery. And so much of the country outside of Doha is just desert. And we did spend an entire day out in the desert, and it was so fun. And oddly enough, that's what a lot of the locals do on the weekends, is they go out to the desert. And when you enter the desert, you see all of these stands of where they have, all-terrain vehicles and dune buggies and Bedouin tents. And so that's what locals do on the weekends. They go out there and camp with their kids, and they just play in the desert.
Wow. Well, that's kind of similar to our area in some ways, and a little bit. I mean, I know, like, the off-roading part is limited to certain parks, and, it all depends. But, I mean, the desert is unique, and there are critters out there. There are things that live out there, and it's interesting things. They're interesting critters. But at the same time, you're saying, okay, you've got the desert, and then you've got the Pearl, and that's that big island. I mean, we've seen these photos all over, I mean, this is incredible how they built this.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And, my understanding was they built it because there's a law that foreigners cannot own land in Qatar, but they wanted to attract expats to the region. So they built the Pearl, which is an entire island. All the sand, everything was trucked in.
Wow.
And it's all luxury high-rise condos, and there's a very high-end shopping area located right at the Pearl. And so that's where a lot of the expats live. We met people, people that worked in hotels from, different countries, from Asia, from England, and that's where a lot of them live, is on the Pearl. And as soon as you get to the Pearl, there's a welcome center, and inside the welcome center, they have a full-size scale, or not full-size scale, but a scale of the entire Pearl community that you can see. And that alone is about the size of my house. It's amazing. Wow. A couple of luxury hotels, just really, really beautifully done.
Wow. So luxury again, upscale shopping, and then you've got the market. I mean, it's such a balance. It's really interesting. And then where did you stay? It sounds like the hotels are like a whole amusement park of their own, and amusement park of luxury, I should say.
They are. I stayed at the W Hotel, which was fabulous, and it's, out of all of them that I visited, I found it was the one that was really high energy. It has a co-work space inside of it, so you saw a lot of young locals there during the day co-working, and it has one of the few bars in the region that the locals come to at night. So at night it really came alive. But I also visited the Four Seasons. The Four Seasons is amazing. It has a beach in the back because it's on the waterfront, and it's beautiful. And then the Mondrian was new when I got there, and that one is just so over the top ornate. So it's definitely worth, regardless of where you stay, you've got to go visit these other hotels because they're all spectacles.
That's the thing too. That you mentioned that you're not really going to get wine or your wiggy, your happy hour cocktails. Most of the restaurants, unless you're at your hotel, right?
Exactly. I don't think I visited a single restaurant that served alcohol. So a lot of the hotels will have cocktail bars where you can have alcohol, but you won't see the locals drinking it. You will just see tourists.
Tourists, yeah.
That's
interesting, There's areas that we've been in that are like that, and it always comes kind of as a shock.
Yes, that happened to us in Utah.
Yeah.
We got lost out in the desert, and we somehow we ended up in Utah.
Looking for wine?
We were out in the Grand Escalante area, I think, and all of a sudden we were in these BLM land and filming and going here, going there, thinking we knew what we were doing, and then all of a sudden we got to a highway and we didn't know which way to go. We had none of it made sense. So we just took a chance and went one way and ended up in Utah. And all we wanted after being in the desert all day was like, we just want a cold beer. It's like Nancy wanted her rum and Coke.
Yeah.
And it was like, you're in the wrong town. And we're just like, and we don't know where we are.
I know, everybody just kind of stares at you.
And then we finally, got our way back. It took hours to get back home to our hotel, which I can't even remember where we were staying.
It's funny because all of a sudden you feel like, are we in a different country?
Yeah, well, you are when you're in Qatar, but it's again respect, right? And so it's I think it's cool that they're doing it at a hotel. Then it just kind of eliminates any shenanigans that can ensue in a place that you want to be respectful.
Well, and they do have a large business traveler population that comes there, so I think they do to a certain extent have to cater to them. And they're hosting the World Cup in 2022, so that's going to be, I think, somewhat of an interesting challenge for the people who attend. That you're not going to be able to go into a lot of the restaurants and have cocktails with your dinner.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think this is going to be very interesting having the World Cup there. I know I watched what it did to Port Elizabeth, South Africa, where we used to live, and Nancy had her magazine out there years ago, and watched how it goes in, and it's interesting, and it's kind of like the Olympics going into in a community. Suddenly everything changes, and you really focus on infrastructure. And sometimes for a region, that is something that is needed. And it's like, okay, now we're going to get our tourism plans together. And
Exactly.
and it's about the communities after these events of how they handle that and utilize it in a positive way, and not let hotels go empty, that kind of thing. And really maintain the new infrastructure that's normally needed.
Right, because they're investing so much money. They're building, I believe it's 7 soccer stadiums over there.
Wow.
And I actually, just by chance, met someone who works for a company who is consulting with them on how to use all of those stadiums after the fact.
Yes, because
so you're absolutely
that's
right about
critical. Yeah, it's a really good thing for a country. They almost get forced into upgrade, which is always beneficial for the people who live there as well as the travelers.
But it's the World Cup, man. It's one of the best events of the world. Like, seriously, I'm sorry. I played soccer when I was a young girl in South Africa, and that was a big deal. The World Cup is like it's the thing, man. That is so exciting, and I think it puts Qatar on the map, and again gets people to look at visiting a country that, like Nancy said, there's that fear factor sometimes that people have. So maybe this opens some doors for them, a lot.
Exactly,
a lot of
and it's a place people really need to experience and see. And I think most people would not do it on their own unless they go for an event like the World Cup. So I'm excited for them.
Yeah, I think it's great.
One thing I wanted to touch on that you got to do, which to me this is really cool, is go out. You went out on the water, and to me that's the first thing to do is to get out on the water on a boat or a kayak or something. Tell us what you went on a dhow. We used to have those in Kenya. Those are cool.
Yeah, they're fun.
They are. One of the things about Doha is it has such a beautiful skyline. All of the buildings are lit in neon, different colors of neon. Some flash, some, they track, they move. And really the best way to see it is by boat out on the water. So we got on a dhow at dusk one night and took it all the way up the river or into the bay and back down again. And you really get to experience the entire coastline at that in that manner.
Nice.
When you were there food-wise, was there anything that was really memorable that you've never heard of that you tasted and you're like, this is cool, yummy?
Probably the abundance of food that we were served.
Wow.
I love Middle Eastern food to begin with, so there's not much I don't enjoy, but we would have these platters just piled with different meats and kebabs and some really wonderful salads. And, everything was so fresh. And that's really one of the things that sticks out to me is how fresh everything tastes. The meats are just so decadent.
Wow. I didn't think about all the salads, That's neat, too. Because would a vegetarian do okay over there?
Yes. In fact, I was with a vegetarian, and, she did survive quite well on the salads.
Oh, nice. And I know it's more than here's your iceberg, We want more.
Right.
We want more than that. I want to give the website out. Everybody, it's visitqatar.qa, and so it's visitqatar.qa. And again, Beth's article is up on blendradioandtv.com. Just type in Doha, and you'll find it there, and it'll also be in the spring issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. But I want to dig into your background because 30 years of being a travel PR. And so were you writing? Were you handling accounts? Tell us about that.
I was doing both. I started in food and travel PR with a PR firm in Washington, D.C. And so I was working with different clients, destinations and restaurant groups and hotel chains and properties, doing their public relations. So I was writing press releases. I was doing a little bit of what we do now with travel writers, which is bring them to destinations to showcase a place. So after 30 years in that business, I thought it was time for me to be able to experience some of it for myself because I was always the one working and sitting in my room doing work while everybody else was out playing. So I switched
boo.
roles a little bit later in life.
She wanted her blue martinis.
Yeah, come
exactly.
This side is more fun.
But you've got this background that I think is invaluable when it comes to understanding, the tourism world and the travel media world, because it's changed, especially over the years, right? It's the whole travel writing, food writing, wine writing. It's all changed. But there's some basic concepts. Be good at it, to get it right and be authentic. But it's interesting. I know with you being the executive editor of FWT magazine and also on the board of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association, I can imagine, and also with your career as a travel writer, those years of experience being able to help you get to where you want to go, but also help the travel writers and also the members of IFTWA.
Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty good sense of what, hosts or clients or brands, what they want out of, an experience of working with a travel writer or being in a magazine or being on the radio. And so just from working with clients, I have a sense of what their messages were, their key messages, and the types of things they wanted people to know about them. And that's something I think I bring, or I like to think I bring to this business, is when I go to a destination like Doha or I go visit a resort, I can really tell a story that makes them happy because I know the types of things they want, to the end user or the consumer or the traveler to hear about. So I like to think that my experience brings that in terms of being able to formulate more of a story than just here's what I did on vacation.
And
highlight
you like
certain things.
Yeah, I was going to say you like a little luxury, don't you?
I do. I'm not going to lie, I do. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you just do get to a point in life where it's time for that now. Thank you very much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want the blue martinis. Is blue your favorite martini? Your blue martinis?
No, actually, I just had seen the commercial and I just wanted to be the woman. Now she was sitting in this beautiful black dress that I probably had on sweatpants or something in my trip, but I go for comfort.
Yeah, comfort and blue martinis are good. Now, how many countries have you traveled to?
Oh, well, I lived in Europe, so I did travel quite a bit through Europe.
Oh yeah,
fun.
Wow.
Yeah. And then so I've been
fun.
to places in the Middle East. I've been to Australia. I had my son studied abroad over there, so I went to visit him. Always looking for an excuse. Yeah, he studied surfing. Not really, but yeah.
Well, that sounds
that is the best.
Study surfing.
That is
what
the
are you
best
doing
line.
I'm at the beach. What are you doing? My homework.
No, see that takes me back to growing up in South Africa. We lived in Port Elizabeth next to Jeffreys Bay or J Bay, and it's one of the top surfing spots, and a lot of Australians were hanging out there. But being a young girl, and I had a good time out there. Let's just put it that way. But I never heard the term studying surfing. That is the best. I love that.
He was at the University of Sydney, and I am not exaggerating. I'm sure he surfed 5 days a week. Yeah, at Bondi Beach.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, most surfers are like in the water no matter what.
I know.
Right.
I know. So the other thing too, what I want to know is what got you started in the world of travel at all. I mean, is because this is obviously part of who you are is travel, good food, wine, blue martinis. But where did that whole bug start? Did you have a traveling family?
My family moved around quite a bit. My father worked for the federal government, and we moved almost every year for about the first 12 years of my life. So I got to see a lot of the country. And so I get very bored with an area really quickly. My husband, who grew up in the same exact place, doesn't understand it. But I love to explore new places. And so I think growing up like that, I just got this bug that I like to constantly experience new things, and new cultures, and new places. And then shortly after I got married, and my husband had an opportunity to move to Italy, and I said, we're going, whether you want to or not. And picked up my young children and took them over to Italy and put them in Italian school, and I'm so proud today as young adults. They both have the travel bug just like I do.
Cool.
And study surfing. I love it. I love this. And one thing, too, being, the editor of FWT magazine, I wanted to ask you about the next issue coming out, but also the one thing we always talk with, our friends over from IFTWA, when they come on the second Friday show, we always ask, the benefit, what's it like being, a member of IFTWA, But I wanted to ask you, because of your background in PR, being a travel writer, and then also being in the magazine side of it, what do you think, for destinations, the importance? Because a lot of times, to writers in a travel association, I think more destinations should be on board, because that's that direct connection. Don't you think that that's kind of a strong point, too, is that the destinations themselves can connect with writers? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's, a little bit where FWT magazine differs from other travel magazines is ours is all experiential. Everyone's writing about a place they've been, they've experienced. They're telling a first-person story. They're not just researching a destination and telling you about it. They're telling you about their personal experience. And I think that matters a lot in people who, so much of travel is word of mouth and, referrals. And so I think that's one important thing that the destination should know is that's the credibility we bring to the stories we tell, is that we were there and we're sharing our firsthand experience and our personal accounts.
That's huge.
No, I think that's the crux of the matter.
And do you remember years ago it used to be don't do that in travel writing? Remember, it's like don't
right.
Don't, there used to be that.
You were supposed to be kind of subjective in how you put a story together, or objective in how to put a story together. And now it's very subjective. And we encourage our writers to, we call it your best friend voice. Write like you're telling your best friend about this experience or this trip. Share the little tidbits and talk. We like conversational tones.
So it's okay when I go, dude, you've got to come check it out, man.
Honestly, yes. I think it comes across. Otherwise, it sounds like a travel brochure.
Exactly.
If you write too straightforward.
Then it just becomes a Wikipedia.
Yeah, and especially now that we're in the world of information, people want to know someone went there. They want to also know the reality of, hey, be prepared for this or that. This can go wrong here. This, be prepared. Like I think, like in reading your article in Qatar, you covered, hey, we've got some cultural differences, but you're going to get stronger together going over there and meeting each other. But you were how you covered that. It was so important of, hey, I did my research and, this is how I handle it. I think that part is important, that we bring the differences up, what to be prepared for. So know that you're not going around in, your tiniest miniskirt in the wrong place. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But would it be boring if everybody was exactly the same and everybody dressed the same and everybody did the same things and made their country exactly the same? And then there wouldn't be a point in traveling. I mean, it would be so boring. I think viva la variety, man.
Yes, variety is a spice of life.
We want to see new and different things, not in order to criticize, just so that your eyes get a rest from things you see every day all the time,
And get away from the screen. Yeah, go.
Yeah, I mean, it's
fun.
And
you gain a whole new appreciation for, other people, other cultures. I think that's really important.
I actually think it leads to peace.
Yes.
I think when people don't like each other, 9 times out of 10, they've never met the people they don't like. They're just, it's fear. It's fear. So it's good to travel and learn about other cultures, and you can write about it.
Where is your next go ahead. Go ahead.
I had, when I announced that I was going there, I actually had, I would say, more people than not tell me I shouldn't go because of the danger. So, those are perceptions we just have to overcome.
Exactly. I mean, one of my best friends in school, when they found out I was going to Africa, that she's, I'm never going to talk to you again. I'm like, oh, come on. And then she never did. I was like, well, I don't get it.
I know.
It was just because I went to Africa. I don't understand.
Man. So where's your next destination?
My next trip, I have not been traveling as much because I have a mother that's ill, but I am taking advantage, and I am taking a wellness trip to Denzante. It's Loreto, Mexico, and it's a resort called Denzante Bay, and I'm trying to recoup my health after this past year of stress.
Oh.
So I'm excited. I'm going to do yoga on the beach. I'm going to kayak. I'm going to visit the spa often, and I'm going to eat well.
Awesome. That sounds good. So what's coming up on the horizon for FWT magazine? When's the next issue come out, and what kind of stories have you got in there?
We are working on increasing our wine coverage, our wine and food coverage. A lot of our members almost all of our members are travel writers, but we have some that are exclusively food and wine. So we're really trying to increase our food and wine coverage, and we want to tell people a little bit about some of the different traditions with food around the world, and also highlight some of the different newer up-and-coming wine regions around the world. So by the end of the year, we're hoping to get some of those articles out.
Nice. And
we have
everyone
a lot
again.
A lot of young members, so it's everybody's kind of bringing a different perspective to things, which is nice.
I like it. It's a beautiful magazine. I love it. It's digital because then it's unlimited. People around the world can get it and see these destinations. Right. I mean, it's just huge what happens with digital media. Again, everybody, FWTmagazine.com. You can keep up with Beth at BethGraham.com. Is that the best website for everyone, or other places that people can connect with you?
And I'm on Instagram at Mom Uncorked.
She's uncorked, drinking a blue martini in sweatpants on a luxury plane. That's what she's doing. Everybody, also, again, her story, Beth's story on Qatar, is in blendradioandtv.com, and will also be featured in the spring issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. And again, keep up with the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. You can go to ifwtwa.org, and also don't forget, keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. We have these shows every second Friday, and we have more guests, so stay tuned. But thank you so much for joining us, Beth. We have a song for you,
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. I'm excited.
This one it's called Traveling. We play it for a lot of our IFTWA friends coming on the show, and it does involve a plane. So I'm really glad I chose it for you. I don't think the plane was going to Qatar, though, but it was going. So here it is. It's Traveling. It's from our friend here in Tucson, Arizona, Wally Lauder, who also, by the way, used to live in Australia. So there you go. Here is Traveling. You can keep up with him at wallylauder.com. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful weekend, Beth.
Thank you, guys. It was great talking with you.
You too. Take care and enjoy that martini.
Yep.
I want one now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Driving up the coast of California, oceans to the left, mountains to the right. Pulled off the highway in between, stayed in a hotel for the night. Off a pier in Santa Barbara, there were dolphins swimming around. The sun was coming up over the mountains, the waves were making a rhythmic sound. And I'm traveling, finding my way through this world we're in. Flying on a plane to Africa, the cabin was a colorful sight. People speaking words I couldn't understand. It was a world beat party 7 miles high. Drinking funky tea with a bunch of guys outside a mud hut under African skies. Telling tales of the land I'm from, across the sea in America. And I'm traveling, I'm finding my way through this world we're in. I